What is going on, my fellow knowledge seekers? I'm sorry it has been so long since I have popped on to say what's up. There are so many things I've wanted to talk about. Becoming a dad, what dad life is like, what being sleep deprived is like. And of all things, the number one thing I really wanted to talk to you guys about was how excited I was for Victor Wembanyama. My fiance and I got into a huge fight that day. I missed his first game versus Chet Holmgren. I'm still mad about that. There's been a few things that made me want to get on here. Spring training, I know I'm wearing a Warrior shirt. I'm from the Bay Area. My folks from New York, so I'm a diehard New York fan. The Yankees getting Juan Soto, I was like, I have to make one. But you know what? The universe aligned to allow me to talk about Justin Fields. So of course, this is not the haul the Bears would have liked. Not ideal for them. But after just trading for Keenan Allen, they at least get a draft pick back. And beggars can't be choosers. They also did not expect to be getting the first overall pick when they traded down when the Panthers traded up for Bryce Young. We all thought Bryce Young was an Alabama product. The Panthers had a good defense. We thought that would be like a 5th to 12th pick. Maybe even they could have a CJ Stroud situation where it turned out great. So took Bryce Young a long time to develop. Didn't have the weapons he needed, and lo and behold, the Bears are gifted Caleb Williams. So yeah, they could have gotten more for Fields, but based on where they were last year and where they are now, they've got Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift. They still have Khalil Herbert, and my guy who's not valuable in Dynasty anymore, Roshan Johnson, sorry, and then Dad Brain. And then the receivers, the receiving room is looking great now. Mooney's out, but they still have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. So they've got the reliable Keenan Allen is going to be running slants over the middle. DJ Moore can do whatever. He can do reverses. He can do quick screens. He can go deep. And so that means with their 9th pick, they can really get whatever they want. They can get more offensive line protection for Caleb Williams, or they can get whatever receiver they want, whether it's Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze. They really can get whatever they want. But whatever they want, that's why I'm disappointed for the Bears. What I always thought the perfect trade for Fields was Fields and 109 to the Patriots for 103. So the Patriots are a win now organization who are now taking a rookie quarterback, which we thought was going to be Jaden Daniels. But with the Redskins signing Marcus Mariota as their backup, that kind of shows the type of offense they're going to be running. Mariota is an athletic quarterback. Drake May is a more standard pocket passer. So that kind of hints that the Commanders, or it's called Redskins, are going to be taking Jaden Daniels at 102. Which means the Patriots would be getting Drake May at 103, which of course is very nice. Classic pocket passer for a classy organization used to having Tom Brady. That being said, everyone's saying, oh, Justin Fields goes to Pittsburgh to learn behind Russell Wilson and have Mike Tomlin, one of the most respected coaches who happens to be African-American. And Justin Fields, there's been a lot of knocks on African-American quarterbacks, unfortunately. If you look at where Fields went in the draft, he went 11th overall, and dude is unbelievably talented. 6 foot looks the part of a quarterback. 6'4", 230 pounds, blazing 40 time, cannon of an arm. If you had to comp him, he's just a bigger, stronger, more athletic Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson went 32nd overall, and again, that's a while back in 2018. There were still more knocks on what athletic quarterbacks can do. Lamar Jackson also went to Louisville, so he wasn't playing elite competition. People weren't exactly sure where he should go. 32 was not the answer. He went after plotter Sony Michel. Some people thought Sony Michel would be good, but obviously he's not a game-breaking talent. The Ravens even took former baseball player, former fellow Big Red, Hayden Hurst, tight end before Lamar Jackson. So that shows just how little the league valued Lamar. So then fast forward to Fields' draft, T-Law goes first overall. Then my guy, Zach Wilson, who has had some not great moments for the Jets, but the Jets were awful. He's also had some really exciting runs, some awesome throws, some awful throws. But again, really talented. Not a huge knock for Fields that Zach Wilson went second. But then Trey Lance third. Trey Lance and Fields are very similar athletes. And you look at Lance and Fields, and Lance went to North Dakota State where Carson Wentz went. Same debate with Goff versus Wentz. Do you take the more athletic with high upside, or do you take the person who went to Cal, has been, Goff actually went to my rival high school, Marin Catholic. He's been highly touted ever since high school. I unfortunately never saw him because I just assumed he was good because he went to the best school. Turns out then at Cal, whatever, it's just, if he was that good, he would have gone to an SEC school. And then he goes first overall. So I never saw Goff in person, even though I had like 8 years of chances to do it. And then, so yeah, same debate with, and then they go first and second. So then we have a similar thing with Trey Lance and Justin Fields. It's not the athletic debate, but it's the, how much do you value one good season at North Dakota State? Because Wentz at least played a lot. Trey Lance hardly saw the field. And when he did, of course, he was incredible. But for him to go third overall and Fields to fall all the way to 11, that shows just where NFL evaluators were on Justin Fields. And then you get him in the game, and some of those knocks were true. I'm actually not the biggest Justin Fields fan. I'm in a Facebook group where there's this dude who just loves Justin Fields. And if you actually look at like his last 20 games or something, his numbers are actually, I'll post the numbers down below. His numbers are actually better than Lamar Jackson's in a lot of ways. And yeah, ever since DJ Moore, he was a lot better, which makes sense. He didn't have the surrounding cast needed. And if you look at his highlights, so yes, the lowlights, I'll post this as well. There's this one where there's two people crossing over the middle and they're both pretty open. And he's like looking deep for something to happen. It's like 5 seconds later. It's like way too long in the NFL and just takes an awful sack. I think it's like 3rd and 7 too. So they like needed that first down. He took an awful sack. So there's plenty, it's just like with Zach Wilson. There's plenty to like, plenty to not like. But again, this is a dude who's a premier talent. He's done some amazing things in the league. And I do think that more teams should have taken a chance on him. So let me scale it back a bit and focus on the Bears. So the Bears are set with Caleb Williams. They've got a good running back. They actually have a solid offensive line. Braxton Jones, their left tackle, had one of the best pass block win rates and run block win rates in the league. And they have a few other solid. Tevin Jenkins is a terrific, mauler run blocker. And you don't really need that many offensive linemen. I'm of the state of mind that there's 5 offensive linemen. You need all 5 to be solid. Ideally, you want a really good center because the center has to communicate with the quarterback and run the offense. You need a good center. And then another really above average player on either side, ideally left tackle, but it could be a guard as well. Because if you got that center and guard combo, you just run through there. When Sean Alexander had 28 touchdowns, 20 of them were to the left side behind Walter Jones and Steve Hutchinson. Now, granted, that's a left tackle and left guard, not the center example I was giving, but just goes to show when you have a dominant side, you just use that dominant side. If one side's not as good, you have a tight end help block there. So the Bears already have, as I mentioned, those 2 really good people. They already have a great guard and a great tackle. They have other solid pieces. I think they can address their offensive line later in the draft. If I'm the Bears, I want to set Caleb Williams up for success, especially because Keenan Allen's older. And DJ Moore isn't an alpha wide receiver number 111. If he was, the Panthers wouldn't have traded him. So, never mind. They traded Brian Burns and Christian McCaffrey. So maybe they just trade everybody. But anyways, if I'm the Bears, I'm getting that alpha wide receiver. And we have Marvin Harrison Jr., who's the most generational talent of all generational talent. I'm a huge fan of pedigree. Jared Goff's father was, I believe, a professional baseball player. Patrick Mahomes' father, professional baseball player. So they don't even have to be like, Kobe Bryant, where your dad was in the NBA and Kobe's in the NBA, or they don't have to be super great, but Kobe's dad wasn't super great. But you grow up around the game. You grow up seeing the lights, and so it's not as scary. So that's why, Marvin Harrison has that from his father. His father has the craft. So his father was able to teach him the craft, and then he's got the God-given size. Dad's like 6 feet, 200, and Marvin Harrison is built like a bigger Justin Fields. He's like a jacked 6'4", 230 with all-world speed. So if I'm the Bears, I do whatever it takes to pair him and Caleb Williams together, which accelerates both of their growth. And then you have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, and you're just an unstoppable offense. So even if you took a little more than Fields 109 you have to throw something else in. I think it's absolutely worth it. But, maybe they don't think the difference between Marvin Harrison and Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors is that big of a difference. So, that's fine. So the Bears, they could have gotten more. I'm not thrilled with what they did. I also think they waited too long. I think if they had tried to shop Fields a lot earlier, people would have been more excited. And as it takes too long, kind of like with Blake Snell, it's taken Blake Snell so long to sign. It's like, oh, clearly no one's excited about it anymore, so his price is going down. So I think the Bears really hurt themselves by taking too long to trade Fields. So then now over to the Steelers. They did an incredible job. They go ahead and get Russ for like $1.2 million. And he's going to be a great mentor for Fields, and they get rid of Pickett. So there's not like, oh, is it Pickett or Fields or Russ? Plus they get some draft capital back, getting a 6 for Pickett and then trading a 2025 6 that'll probably turn into a 4th for Fields. So that's just terrific. They've now got a QB room set up. They've got some really, really big offensive linemen. And then both Fields and Russ are similar in their mobile. Of course, Fields is much more mobile, but they're a run first, set up the play action for the deep ball. And Russ doesn't have the cannon like Fields has, but he's got the best deep ball in the NFL. Last year, he had a 118 passer rating on balls over 20 yards, thrown over 20 yards, one of the best in the league. He had a terrific passer rating on play action as well. So he's really in a good situation. The Steelers got the 6th man as well. One of my favorite players in football, Dwayne Washington. He's a 6'7.5", 264-pound tight end who's basically like a mini left tackle. He could take a few years to develop, but he's going to be a really good piece protecting both Fields and Russell Wilson, and his college teammate is their left tackle. So they've already got that chemistry. So it's going to be good blocking there. Najee Harris has not been as good as we expected from Alabama, but he's still an above average or even average. He's solid. And then Jaylen Warren is sneaky good. So they've got both of them. George Pickens is an absolute animal. And just like the Bears will be drafting a receiver for their quarterback, the Steelers, since they traded Deontay Johnson, have clearly marked they're going to be drafting another receiver as well. They've got Pat Freiermuth, who's very dependable on the inside, similar to what Keenan Allen does. Pickens is a deep guy. So I think they're going to look for like a speedy, shifty type guy, more of a DJ Moore. But anyways, yeah, it's pretty exciting for both those teams. Of course, getting a former 11th overall pick for a 4th or 6th round pick is an incredible value. And just to show how good of a value that is, the Niners traded same guy I was just talking about. How could I forget his name? Trey Lance for a 4th to the Cowboys. And I think, and Trey Lance barely played. So I think for Fields to go for less than that is absolutely criminal. While Fields had an atrocious 25 QBR his rookie season. If you're not familiar, QBR 50 is league average and 75 is like MVP level. It factors it in instead of just QB rating, which is always the whatever you do doesn't matter. QBR is on 3rd down. If you make a completion, it's more important. If you're behind by 2 touchdowns, it's less important. It's game situational. So then his this past year, he was back down to 46, but again, they were pretty dysfunctional. There's more book out on him. But his sophomore year, after people thought he sucked, and he's like, no, I don't. I went 11th overall. He actually had a 56.3 QBR. To put that in perspective, that may sound just above average. Future looks like Hall of Famer, NFL star for the next 10 to 15 years, CJ Stroud had a 57.5 QBR his first year. So basically, CJ Stroud had a 1.2 better QBR his rookie season versus Fields' second season. So, of course, I'm not saying Fields is better than Stroud because Stroud will improve in his first year from his first year to second year. I'm just saying Justin Fields is not a washed bust like a lot of people are saying he is. Again, his highlight reel speaks for himself. If you look at his top 10 plays of all time, they're on the same level as Mike Vick, Lamar Jackson. I'm the biggest Mike Vick guy ever out there. I've always knocked Lamar because he doesn't have that flick of the wrist power. Well, Fields does, and Fields is 4 inches taller than Michael Vick. So you can argue that Fields is up there with Cam Newton, Josh Allen, Andrew Luck as the most athletic quarterbacks of all time. And yes, I will always throw Andrew Luck on there. People dog him. People forget how incredible he was. Robert Griffin III is one of the most dynamic, smart, fun quarterbacks of all time. No one ever thought for a second he was going ahead of Luck at 101. Luck is 6'4", 230, went to Stanford, genius, tools, and he ran a 4.7 40. That doesn't sound fast compared to someone like Fields running like a 4.41. Cam Newton ran a 4.7 40. So Andrew Luck and Cam Newton have the same 40 times And Cam Newton is 6'5", 250, and Andrew Luck is 6'4", 240. Typically, when you add an inch, you add about 10 pounds. So basically, they have very similar bodies, except Andrew Luck was one of the best pure passers of all time. So just throwing it out there in terms of pure physical tools, Fields is in there, that in the conversation. I forgot Elway. Elway was also extremely talented in there with those guys. And granted, he doesn't have the touch of Josh Allen or Andrew Luck. But then again, Josh Allen didn't have the touch of Josh Allen until he worked with Brian Daboll. It took him a couple years to develop that. So Fields could definitely still grow. And this is really terrific for the Steelers. And now let me talk quickly about the sad boys like myself. You got the Raiders fans, Patriots fans, Giants fans. What could have been? Some other situations that would have made sense. So the Giants have paid Daniel Jones already, and they actually just signed Drew Lock, which makes more sense than people would think. They actually stayed in a room together preparing for the NFL draft. We're both AAU basketball stars and are going to push each other really well. They already know each other, and Lock's on a 1-year deal. So if they end up cutting Jones in a year or two and drafting a rookie, I don't think Fields helps there. He's going to be annoyed that he's not part of the future. And the whole org is going to be just, it's a pretty pressure to win now. So I don't think a lot of Giants fans are mad we didn't trade for him. I don't think it's really a good fit. I think the Raiders are a really good fit. Al Davis may not be alive, but there's Raiders fans and Raiders organization who still want that height, weight, speed. And Justin Fields just be perfect for them. And learning from a guy like Gardner Minshew, who's just a pure grinder, I really think that would have been a good opportunity for Fields to flourish. I think it would have been fun. Devontae Adams is still there to get a prime number 1 target. Who's just always open. You just laser it to him and he can make something happen. So I think the Raiders have been really fun. And again, obviously, I think the Patriots would have been the best destination for both Fields and for the Bears. Because as I said, at 109, you can still take Malik Neighbors, Odunze. So they could have gotten like Fields and Neighbors or Odunze. To me, sounds a lot better than now you're taking Drake May and he's got nothing. He's got Kendrick Bourne, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Demario Davis. That's like the worst wideouts in the league. So I think it made sense for both teams. But again, I'm very disappointed that Fields didn't get more. I think it's going to hurt his ego for a little bit. But, learning from Russ, who's a godly man and had his great career with Seattle and all of a sudden hit rock bottom, I think they're in rock bottom together. I think they're both going to work really hard. I think Mike Tomlin is going to be great for them. I think things are going really well. So I'm excited to see how it plays out in Pittsburgh. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a great day.